4.5 has released, and of course that means that we got Chiori in Genshin Impact. And of course you're probably wondering, how should I build my Chiori? Well, today that's what we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about what you need to do to level her up from level 1 to level 90, and of course what basic build that you could do for her, or just casual builds, however you want to say it. But yeah, that's basically what we've got in store for you today. So if you like the content, please make sure to hit that like and subscribe button down below and hit that notification bell to be notified of when the next Genshin Impact build guide comes out. And of course, don't forget, I am sponsored by the ever wonderful Gamer Subs. Of course, use code TYSTRA for 10% off at gamersubs.gg. Wonderful product, and I love shilling it. But without any further delay, let's go ahead and get into the video. Yes, that's right, we got Chiori right here. We got all the goodness, all the good little details that we need to build our Chiori. So let's first talk about what you're going to need in general. So for this one-handed sword GEO character, you are going to need the following. You're going to need these Prathiva Topaz Silvers, the fragments, the chunks, and the gemstones. We see these every time with every character. You're gonna need 1 silver, 9 fragments, 9 chunks, and 6 gemstones. And of course, remember the rules of 3. 3 silvers make a fragment, 3 fragments make a chunk, and 3 chunks make a gemstone. So pretty simple stuff right there. Now, of course, you're also going to need 46 of these artifact spare clockwork components copulae, or copulea. The Copulea. Now, the Copulea is basically from the Icewind Sweet duo that you fight in Fontaine, the little dancing duo that you have to fight. But they have 2 different options. It's going to be the first option, the Dirge of Copulea. I don't know why I say that, but there's Dirge of Copulea and then Dirge of Copulius. You want to go for the Copulea, obviously, because that's what it says. So make sure to get 46 of those. You're going to be doing a minimum of 23 times of fighting those 2. So be prepared. It's going to be a long grind. Now, of course, you're also going to need Dendro Biome. Now, the Dendro Biomes have been out since Inazuma released, I think. It was actually put in the first couple areas. So you actually can get them, I think it's one main area and then the bridge to the other area. But yes, you're going to need 168 of these Dendro Biomes, and they're pretty easy to get. So if you have friends that aren't going for Chiori, you'll probably be able to get your Dendro Biomes. And then as we move down here, we're going to see that we're going to need Spectre items, and these spectral items suck to get because the specters are just annoying to battle against, at least in my opinion. You're gonna need 18 spectral husks, you're gonna need 30 of the spectral hearts, and then followed by 36 of the spectral nucleuses. Remember, again, rules of 3, of course. You're going to need 3 of these husks to make a heart, and 3 of the husks, or 3 of the husks to make a heart, and 3 of the hearts to make a nucleus. Jesus, what am I doing? Don't mind me. I had a very rough day at work last night, and I'm still recovering. I gotta go to the gym after this video, too. So, what else are you going to need? If you're going to triple crown your Chiori, which I don't entirely recommend because she's better as an off-field / sub DPS, so maybe crowning her skill and her burst would be more appropriate. But if you do end up triple crowning your favorite waifu, here is what you're going to need, right? You're going to need 18 more of those spectral husks, right? You're going to need 66 more of the spectral hearts, and 93, I almost said 63, 93 more of the spectral nucleuses at max. Again, this is just for triple crowning. And again, rules of 3. Now, of course, you're also going to need these, the Teachings of Light, which are, I believe this is the Inazuma variant of the talent books. So you're gonna need the Teachings of Light here. You're gonna need 9 of those in total. You're gonna need 63 of the Guides to Light, and then 117 of the Philosophies of Light. Now, or no, 114, sorry, 114. Now, again, remember your rules of 3. I always talk about it. Rules of 3 is like Genshin's cup of tea, actually Hoyoverse's cup of tea. So 3 of the lights, or 3 of the teachings make a guide, 3 of the guides make a philosophy. Easy peasy. Followed by, you're going to need these, the Lightless Silk Strings. Now, you get these from the all-devouring Narwhal boss fight, right? And you can only battle this once for mats. And honestly, Genshin, I think that you need to fix that, because Honkai Star Rail lets us fight the same boss 3 times. I think you could allow us to fight the Narwhal 3 times if we truly wanted to, but that's just my thing. I'll leave it at that. But anyways, you're gonna need a grand total of 18 if you're going to triple crown, which is a lot, But you could do it, my little champ. I believe in you. You're gonna need 3 crowns of insight on top of that, which we get those on the regular, so don't worry about that. And about 7.1 million Mora. Chiori is a pretty easy, like all characters are in general very easy to build. So don't worry about that too much. For the GEO shards and all that stuff, the silvers, the fragments, the chunks, and the gemstones, you have plenty of bosses that you could fight, like the big boy GEO shape. You got the GEO hypostasis, and then you also got big wolfy boy over in Inazuma. So you have plenty of different bosses that you could fight to get these. But let's not just talk about that. Let's talk about building her, right? So her build is pretty standard in my opinion. I've honestly, I've looked at a couple different builds for this and kind of come up with my own little shtick, but there are better ways to build Chiori here. And I really don't know what else to say. I think Chiori is okay, but we're not here to talk about if she's good or not. We're here to talk about first how to build her. So if you're running your Chiori, your main stats are going to go as follows. You want to have obviously crit rate, crit damage, depending on what you need more. Make sure that you supplement that. At least 40% crit rate. I always tell people you have to have at least that. Otherwise, your build's not going to really function, in my personal opinion, when in regards to DPSs, right? So crit rate, crit damage, and then of course defense percentage, because she does scale off of attack percentage and defense percentage, but defense is your main goal with her, followed by of course energy recharge, because you want to make sure that you get her energy recharge up. Now as you could see, I have a 54-12 split. My defense is up the wazoo, my attack is pretty okay, and then my energy recharge is kind of lacking. For energy recharge, you kind of want to go, I believe it's around 125% at the very least, and I just did not get any good rolls for energy recharge, to be quite honest. So let's talk about artifact sets here. So of course I'm running a 4-piece golden trope because I really had a bunch of golden trope lying around, and I haven't done a lot of Husk of Opulent Dreams in a long while. But let's go ahead and talk about what golden trope does here, because again, Chiori to me is an off-field / sub DPS. 2-piece increases elemental damage or elemental skill damage by 20%, and the 4-piece increases elemental skill damage by 25%. Additionally, when not on the field, elemental skill damage will be further increased by 25%. This effect will be cleared 2 seconds after taking the field. Sorry, I'm still a little tired. But that's why I think that golden trope works so incredibly well with Chiori. Now you could run the Husk of Opulent Dreams. Let me go ahead and pull it up here really quick if I can find it in this little thing. Oh, nope. Now, Husk of Opulent Dreams here. Increases defense by 30% on the 2-piece, and then the 4-piece, a character equipped with this artifact set will obtain the Curiosity effect in the following conditions. When on the field, the character gains 1 stack after hitting an opponent with a GEO attack, triggering a maximum of once every 0.3 seconds. When off the field, a character gains 1 stack every 3 seconds. Curiosity can stack up to 4 times, which provides 6% defense and 6% GEO damage bonus. Now, this could work really, really well, but I do think also that, at least with Golden Trope, in my personal opinion, that I have a for sure thing that's going to happen, because for me, I like to switch characters constantly, and I will be switching back to, obviously, our girl here, Chiori, to be able to put off her freaking burst and put off her skill. So that's my whole thing about it. Now, of course, you could also use the Nighttime Whispers. Nighttime Whispers is actually a decent set for her as well. 18% attack on the 2-piece, and after using an elemental skill, gain a 20% geo damage bonus for 10 seconds. While under a shield generated by the crystallization effect, the above effect will be increased by 150%. I think it's good, but the thing is that I'm not maining Chiori as a main DPS, so for me, I feel like I might have a little bit of trouble with that. But you also have Archaic Petra, which I don't think I actually have anybody on Archaic. Oh, I do have actually people on Archaic Petra. Gain a 15% geo damage bonus, and upon obtaining an elemental shard created through the crystallization reaction, all party members gain a 35% damage bonus for that particular element for 10 seconds. Now, again, this is really, really good, but I think that Chiori's main thing is with Geo teams. So for me, I would say Golden Trope is that perfect little balance for an off-field DPS such as Chiori. Now, of course, you can go Husk of Opulent Dreams. I'm not saying you shouldn't, but I am saying for me personally, I wanted to go with Golden Trope. Now, of course, as your main stat for your Sands, you want to go for a defense percentage, in my personal opinion. Again, because she scales off of defense. Followed by your Goblet, being GEO damage bonus. As you can see, this GEO Goblet sucks balls. So much balls. And then, of course, for your Circlet, you want to go crit rate or crit damage. As you can see, this Circlet sucks balls. But my Chiori still does relatively well, surprisingly, so I can't really complain there. Now, of course, let's go ahead and talk about talent prioritization. Now, I went a little bit of normal attack because I just wanted to get to where I could actually get the blue. But in all honesty, your main goal is focusing on your skill and your burst. So let's talk about that for a second, okay? So your skill right here, the Fluttering Hasode, or Hasoda, whatever, however you say it, dashes nimbly forward with striking steps. Once the dash ends, Chiori will summon the automaton doll Tomoto beside her and sweep her blade upwards, dealing AoE GEO damage to nearby opponents based on her attack and defense. So that's where the dual scaling comes from. Holding the skill will cause it to behave differently. If you hold, it'll enter aiming mode and adjust the dash direction, kind of like how you would work with Qingque in that sense. And then Tomato will slash at nearby opponents at intervals, dealing AoE GEO damage based on Chiori's attack and defense. And while active, if there are nearby GEO constructs or what is that? If there are nearby GEO constructs or constructs are created nearby. Okay, I just didn't read the whole sentence. An additional Tomato will be summoned next to your active character. Only one additional Tomato can be summoned in this manner, and its duration is independently counted. So this is why Chiori works really, really well with characters that can have a GEO construct, like Ito with Ushi, or like Zhongli with a pillar. That's why I think that she's better in a GEO team, because the fact that you are going to need those GEO constructs to get your extra damage off. Followed by her burst here, the Hyoku Twin Blades. Twin Blades leave their sheaths as Chiori slices and clean cuts them as a master tailor, dealing AoE GEO damage based on her attack and defense. So before I called her a little bit like a GEO Kazuha, that's not entirely the case, because that does not stay on the field for a long period of time. It just kind of hits and then you switch out. So it's just a regular burst. It's not as good as I thought it was going to be. So I'm kind of disappointed in that regard, but it looked like Kazuha's ultimate a little bit, so I kind of got super excited. The first passive, tailor-made, gain different effects depending on the next action you take with the short duration after using Fluttering Hasode's upward sweep. If you press the elemental skill, you will trigger the tapestry effect, and if you press the normal attack, you will trigger the tailoring effect instead. So the tapestry effect switches to the next GEO character in your roster and grants all your party members seize the moment when your active party members' normal attack, charge attacks, and plunging attacks hit a nearby opponent. Tomato will execute a coordinated attack, dealing 100% of Fluttering Hasode's upward sweep damage as AoE GEO damage at the opponent's location. Damage dealt this way is considered elemental skill damage. Seize the moment also lasts 8 seconds, and one of the Tomato's coordinated attacks can be unleashed every 2 seconds. 2 such coordinated attacks can occur per seize the moment effect duration. Now, what's really, really cool about this, right, is that it's almost like she's tailor-made, hint, hint, at being Ito's partner. Now, I feel like that's a detriment as well, because it limits the way that you're going to be able to really use her outside of the fact that she could do the AoE GEO damage. She's going to work really, really well with normal attacking DPSs such as Ito, Hu Tao, and other ones of the like. So, pretty good. She basically works with most DPSs in general. However, I feel as though that she works really, really well with GEO in general because of her Fluttering Hasode in general being able to generate another one of them. And then also, if you do the tailoring effect, she gains GEO infusion for 5 seconds. I feel as though that doesn't really help her, because that's only if you're maining a Chiori as a main DPS. That's really it. Now, of course, her second passive is when a nearby party member generates a GEO construct, Chiori will gain 20% GEO damage bonus. So before you activate Chiori's stuff, like her skill and her burst, you really, really want to make sure that you have a GEO construct like a pillar or like Ushi to be able to do that. So let me go ahead and clear that really quick. So for me right now, right? Oh, I forgot. We got to go over weapons. What am I thinking, guys? I'm so sorry. Weaponry, right? Weaponry. I have her main weapon, the Uraku Misugiri. Normal attack damage is increased by 16% and elemental skill damage is increased by 24%, and after a nearby active character deals GEO damage, the aforementioned effects increase by 100% for 15 seconds. Additionally, the wielder's defense is increased by 20%. This is huge because again, it plays on the defense, which is her big thing, and she plays on GEO teams. That's perfect. You could use weapons such as Primordial Jade Cutter. I think that's a good one. Cinnabar Spindle is another one. It increases defense. Elemental skill damage is increased by 80% of defense, and the effect can be triggered no more than once every 1.5 seconds and will be cleared 0.1 seconds after elemental skill deals damage. So you could use Cinnabar Spindle unless you're running Albedo, and I think if you are running him, that you should use that instead. You could also use one of the new weapons. Where is it? Wolf Fang. Here it is. Damage dealt by elemental skill and elemental burst is increased by 16%, and when an elemental skill hits an opponent, its crit rate will be increased by 2%, and when an elemental burst hits an opponent, its crit rate will be increased by 2%. Both of these effects last 10 seconds separately, have 4 max stats, and can be triggered once every 0.1 seconds. So you have some good options. There are plenty of options for your Chiori. I'm going with her main weapon because you'll see in the summon video, it was pretty crazy. Now then, let's go ahead and fight some Masanori. I know that everybody kind of gives me flack because Masanori is actually pretty easy, but I think it's the best way to go about it. So I don't have Zhongli on here, right? I'm going with Bennett to kind of give Ito more attack here, and I'm running a C6 Goro. So first things first, let's grab that. We're gonna put Ushi out there. I missed, but that's okay. And then once you press the skill, see, look, I went to Ito, and boom. You can see that the dolls are doing a lot of damage as well. And really, I could just end Masanori's whole career here, right? Like, really, Chiori's dolls are the main things that you want from her, which is kind of sad because I feel like she could really benefit from being out there more. But let's go ahead and let's put a full GEO team just to kind of show that off a little bit. It really isn't going to change much because Bennett did increase the attack, so you're going to see kind of probably a little bit less DPS from Ito here. But let's go ahead, let's get that out, get that going, activate that, wait for it, and then boom. And then we just go into Ito bashing. It's just pretty crazy. Now, I think again, most of your team is benefiting from Ito being the DPS in this situation, but Chiori does add that extra little bit of oomph because of her dolls. But do I think that Chiori is worth it for an all GEO team? To me, it's kind of indifferent. I think that Chiori is not a bad character, just suffers from the fact that she's on a team with bad elements. And I don't think she's the, like, obviously she's not fully powered up. As you can see, my thing is only at level 70 instead of level 100, level 90. And she doesn't benefit a lot from the terrible goblet and terrible circlet I have on her. But I do think my Chiori is kind of a blueprint of showing what you're going to be using her for, and that's sadly a very niche team. Now, I said this as well with Jingyuan being niche to plunging teams. It's really just dependent on what you like for a team. If you like an all GEO team, I think Chiori is one of those characters that you absolutely should have on your team in that first slot to be able to use that skill to switch over to Ito, especially if you're maining Ito. You could even use her for Navia, though I think Navia doesn't entirely benefit fully from Chiori. She does benefit, but I think that Chiori was perfectly made for Ito, and that's just my opinion on that. But of course, I would definitely like to don't mind me. I would like you guys to let me know in the comments down below. And of course, that's going to be it for today's video. Don't forget to check out my sponsor, Gamer Subs, of course. Use code TASH for 10% off. If you are watching this on the 14th, we are about to release a brand new flavor and a new waifu cup. I have my predictions on what that flavor might be, but I can't say it because if I'm right, then I might get in trouble. So, but there are some good things coming in Gamer Subs, especially like I said on the 15th at 3 p.m. Eastern. Make sure that you log on to the site, use code Tyser for 10% off. And that's going to be it for today's video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to entertain you. We will be back again with another Genshin Impact video very soon. And as always, we will catch you in the next video. Please take care and be safe.